into Buffalo Bills Weekly, where we're taking you behind the scenes at One Bills Drive. He's Chris Brown, I'm Maddy Glab. The Bills defeated the Jaguars in the wild card round to move on in the playoffs. It's their first road playoff win since 1992. Quarterback Josh Allen was close to perfect, completing 80% of his passes. Allen plays his best football in the playoffs. Best part of the game, the defense ended things with an interception. Doing that on the road in the playoffs, not easy. Definitely a confidence builder for the team as they're going to be on the road for the rest of the postseason.
Yeah, and this team is a battle-tested team with plenty of playoff experience, as we know, but that game and that performance serves as a valuable reminder to the players. The offense with the final drive to take the lead, the defense with a game-sealing takeaway. Yes, we can continue to do this in the postseason. We are good enough. It's a good reminder.
Buffalo's offense had to change their identity to beat the Jaguars. The NFL's best rushing attack could not get going. They had 80 less rushing yards than what they normally average, so they had to lean on the passing offense. Quarterback Josh Allen was surgical with the way that he sliced his way through Jacksonville's defense. He also spread the ball out to 9 different receivers. How did the passing offense make up for those lost rushing yards?
Yeah, I think Joe Brady utilized Khalil Shakir as an extension of the running game. He was obviously Josh Allen's most frequent target, high percentage throws. And look, I know people are going to say, well, Shakir only had 82 yards on 12 receptions, but those 4, 6, and 8-yard gains kind of doubled as the rushing attack kept the offense on schedule, so the whole playbook was open when they did have to throw on further routes downfield, whether intermediate or deep. So I think ideally, they would like to get more traction in the run game this week against the second-ranked run defense. And they did that last year in the wild card game against Denver. So I think they believe they can get more success in the ground game and be a little bit more balanced this week.
Yeah, Buffalo's defense did it again. Jacksonville quarterback Trevor Lawrence had to think a second longer on multiple occasions. Pre-snap, Lawrence thought he had a clear picture, but then post-snap, Buffalo's defense would mix things up and muddy the water. It allowed Buffalo's defense to tee off with lots of pass breakups. What had Lawrence so confused?
Well, they changed the picture after the snap, to your point. And I think it was interesting to see how Jacksonville's offensive staff tried to quick snap early to see if they could get the defense to show their hand. That didn't work. And then later in the game, they had Lawrence run the play clock down, hoping by running it down to near zero that the defense would jump into what their coverage assignment was. They didn't do that either. So the Bills defense was prepared for those kinds of tactics and really held all their cards close to the vest. They never showed Lawrence what they really wanted to do until after the ball was snapped.
Head coach Sean McDermott deserves kudos here because he's the defensive mind behind it all, alongside of defensive coordinator Bobby Babich. The Bills are hopefully getting some reinforcements back this week as wide receiver Curtis Samuel and defensive tackle Ed Oliver have their practice windows opened to return from IR. Now, Samuel was put on IR due to an elbow injury, and Oliver has been out for quite some time with that biceps tear. This is huge for Buffalo because they just lost 2 wide receivers last week due to torn ACLs, and Oliver had such a hot start to his season, 3 sacks in 3 games. It would be big to get those guys back.
Yeah, Ed Oliver can be a force multiplier for the defensive front because he commands so much attention on the interior that it affords the outside edge rushers like Rousseau, Bosa, and others more one-on-one opportunities. They haven't had those since Oliver left the lineup. So that will change the dynamics of the opponent's protection scheme with Oliver there. Even if he can only give him 30 snaps, he'll make a difference this week. And then at receiver, you probably need to have Samuel up, and then it's a decision between Mecole Hardman or Christian Wilkerson on the practice squad. Wilkerson does more of the things that Shavers does, who they lost to the knee injury. He might be the guy that's up this week.
Oliver has been chomping at the bit to get back in the lineup. I just think his juice and energy would add something to the defense as a whole. We're going to take a break, but when we return, the best sound from the week is coming up, and later on, Mitch Morse delivers his Morse code.
They've got some absolute studs over there. Obviously, they rush the passer extremely well. Interior, they're, again, some big, stout guys that can really push the pocket. And they could stop the run in the back end, too. A guy like Pat Surtain, who was Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's a is an absolutely fantastic football player. So yeah, we're gonna have our hands full of just making sure that we're putting in the right stuff, understanding the game plan, getting to the right checks, getting to the right calls, executing and playing for each other. Because again, we can't give them any help. You know, that's a good team over there, and anytime you're facing a really good defense, again, you got to go out there and execute and do your part.
They're a similar team, same players, same coach, same quarterback. I know they've dealt with some injuries, but I imagine some of their guys will be back. And, it's going to be a tough physical football game. They know how to win. They've been in this situation before. They had a great win last week, coming off probably their best win of the season. And they have a good rhythm right now as a team. So it's going to be a challenge. We got to start fast. We got to make sure we match their tempo and, not let them get out because they played last week, and we can't let this bye week kind of affect us with a slow start.
Oh, man, this is an explosive offense. Got a lot of gadgets. I mean, second year. This is the second year in it. I didn't get to play them against them last year, so it's going to be a different game than it was last year. And I just think that with experience, players get better, and he's a testament to that. He's got a great coach that's calling great plays for him, and Sean Payton, the guy that I watched, growing up because of being from New Orleans and being a Saints guy growing up. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be a tough test for it, but we got the guys to do it.
Yeah, he's been great. He puts the team on his back for sure in critical moments. He finds a way to come through in the clutch. And obviously, he's got all the attributes, but one thing that I picked up on is obviously his toughness, how he's able to lead his team to victory. And one thing that we got to eliminate is, his second chance opportunities. He thrives off that, finding opportunities even if the play is not there. So, he's a great player, so we got a game plan and, eliminate the explosives from him.
Well, I mean, they're built the right way. You got the guys up front. I think somebody yesterday in here mentioned up front with the combination of cover players that are top notch, and that bodes well to build a great defense. And I think Coach Joseph is one of the best there is out there, and does a great job of scheming things up, and they make it awfully hard for an offense to move the football.
Welcome back to Buffalo Bills Weekly as we catch up now with Mitch Morse for the latest edition of Morse Code. And first of all, Mitch, tough win on the road, and it came with a cost. Injuries and playing through things are part of a playoff run. As you know, it's a battle of attrition. What goes through playing through the bumps and bruises this time of year?
Well, you have to let adrenaline take over to a certain extent in regards to helping mitigate certain aches and ailments that might be creeping up, especially when you've just played 18, 19 games, right? You can't take away that there are some profound injuries that do kind of rock a locker room for at least a touch, like a Gabe Davis comes to mind. But then also if you have these ailments, if you have these things lingering, or if you accrue some more injuries in these games, it's a 1 week season. Every week you have to live in the training room, and you take that upon yourself because it's nut cutting time, excuse my language, and that's just what's required by you as a professional. And these boys and these men and women, they're professionals in that locker room and in that building, and then that's what they're going to do.
And in that vein, Mitch, the coaching staff has had to make their own adaptations based on who they do and do not have in the lineup. I think the defense has had to do a little bit more juggling than the offense through the course of the season due to lack of manpower because of injury. Would you say this is the best we've seen from Sean McDermott's coaching staff in terms of doing more with less?
It's got to be up there, Chris. I thought these coaches, they coached their tails off. I thought the jabs back and forth between the teams, I thought just the in-game adjustments, the timely calls to challenge or to go for it, or all these things. It's a chess match, and I thought these guys on our team, including the players, played an astounding game. They stepped up to the challenge when the stakes were at their highest. when guys were down, they were called upon to come up. And then these coaches, yes, they worked with what they had and they did it admirably.
Back on the road with another tough defense in Denver, knowing the pass rush prowess of the Broncos far exceeds that of the Jaguars, what kind of pressure is there on Buffalo's offensive line to help get the run game going to mitigate that pass rush this week?
Chris, we talked about it last week. It was good on good versus the Jags run-stopping defense and the Bills' high efficiency run game attack. This week, the boys are called upon again because that pass rush, like you said, is formidable. It's up there amongst the top in the league. Their sack rates might be the highest in the league. So what does that do? That just calls upon your big guys, which is what wins you games in the NFL, and especially what wins you games late in the season in the playoffs. So the boys will be up for the challenge. They'll understand it's a challenge. They try not to make it too much of something that it's not. But if you walk in there, which they won't, and take away anything from that defense, you're a little bit silly, because that is an absolute strength of that ball club they're facing at Saturday at 4:30 Eastern time.
Yeah, 68 sacks on the season for the Broncos to lead the league, and the Bills go from facing the number 1 run defense in the league in Jacksonville to the number 2 run defense in the league in Denver. Mitch, thanks for the time. As always, we appreciate it. Still to come, Maddy sits down with Tre White in the latest episode of Inside the Charge.
Welcome into another episode of Inside the Charge. Maddy Glab here with the quarterback killer, quarterback Tre White.
You've been coming with it this 4 weeks straight. Like, you done came up with some stuff.
What do you think of that one?
I killed him.
Yeah.
I did that.
You ended it. You ended it. We're going to get into all of that. You know what time it is? It's Tre White's Dog of the Week. Who's getting it? Who's getting it, man?
I mean, look, let's just get this out of the way now. It's no greatness fatigue over here. It's going to be no greatness fatigue over here.
The people wanted you to be Dog of the Week, Tre.
We cannot get greatness fatigue. You see that quarterback out there? Did you see that quarterback?
Man, a machine.
80% completion percentage.
Against a top 10 defense.
In the NFL, don't matter the defense.
In the playoffs.
In the playoffs, like, and I play on defense, and so I know how hard it is for a quarterback to get 80%, to even get 70%, like 65%. Like, I know how hard it is to throw the football. 80%, 82% in the fourth quarter. 5 for 5 on the last drive.
Yep. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep it going.
A 10-yard baby push. Hold on, what are we gonna call this? The Buffalo Tote.
The Buffalo
The
Tote.
Buffalo Tote by Osiris. Tote him like a baby over there to the 1 yard line. Joshua Patrick Allen, big dog of the week. Dog of the week. Like, nobody can compare to this dude, man. Like, he does it all. Like, for the Bills, for Wyoming, for where he's from, Bakersfield,
from California.
California, West Seneca, Buffalo, New York, Amherst. He holding it down for Chicktawaga,
Tonawanda.
Like, what?
Salamanca.
Niagara Falls. Like, he carrying it all, and he does it with a smile, and he does it like nobody else. Like, Josh Allen is the dog of the week. Like, he's the dog of the year, the dog of the decade. Like, this guy, you can't say too much about him.
Okay, I knew you were going to do this. I knew you weren't going to give it to yourself.
I can't give myself dog of the week.
Okay, well then that's where I come in.
Why would you want to give me dog of the
Tre
week?
White, you are my dog of the week. Dude, come on. 3 passes defensed, 2 in huge time, like big time critical moments. You saved a touchdown on one of the plays in the third quarter, and then you helped end the game. The Iceman. I get it. If you're going to give it to anybody, it makes sense to give it to Josh Allen. I just got to give you a little bit of a hard time. Because you were
he was the big
dog out there.
he was the big dog of the week.
Dog.
I was the little dog.
You were the little
I was
dog.
just a
What
little
did, what
dog.
did you say to Shaq Thompson in the locker room
I
about
told him
what
I was a
dog you are?
poodle because he said we got to be dogos.
Yep.
And I said, I don't want to be the dogo. I'll be the little poodle. I might not
Yep, yep, yep.
bite. Keep scratching your leg. I'm aggravating. Scratch on. You know how them little dogs scratch on the back of your calf? Yeah,
They
I'll
bite
be
you on the
aggravated.
back of the
That's
calf,
what I'm
too?
saying. That's me. I'm like a little pest.
You don't go away.
No. Then that's what
That's
you need your
did in that
cornerback
game.
to do.
You
Yes.
didn't go away.
Annoying like a gnat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying
Annoying
you know
like
how
a
to-
gnat.
Annoying like a gnat.
You guys are so fun to watch, and we are so happy it continues, Trey. Appreciate the time,
know it.
as always.
Another week.
And fingers crossed, another week after this. I
know
believe in you guys.
It's
A lot
gonna
of people
happen.
do.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's happened.
Speak it into existence.
Yes.
All right, we'll see you next week. Welcome back to Buffalo Bills Weekly. The Bills are moving on to the divisional round. They're facing the #1 seeded Denver Broncos. Buffalo's offense will once again be challenged with a tough-as-nails defense. The Broncos rush the passer better than anyone else. Their 68 sacks lead the league. What they do really frustrates offenses. It's hard to get into what you want to do on offense when playing a defense like them. Why are they so good at getting after the quarterback?
Well, they're an elite, talented group. I mean, look, just the guys up front, all across the board, elite talent. Whether you're talking about Nick Bonito off the edge, Jonathan Cooper on the other side, those two have combined for 22 sacks. They've got an all-pro at defensive tackle in Zach Allen. He gets on the edges of guards and centers and can penetrate. He drags down quarterbacks with one arm. So it's a talented group up front. We know the talent of the coverage people on the back end. Patrick Surtain, former Defensive Player of the Year. So it's really important for the Bills to get that run game going, to keep this defense honest and not let them tee off on Josh Allen in the pass game.
Yeah, when they tee off in the pass, I mean, that defense is in your face constantly. But Buffalo faced a top 5 defense last week in the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they were successful at beating them. They had to change their stripes to do so, leaning on the pass game instead of the run game. The tight ends and wide receivers got it done. So against another great defense, how does Buffalo beat them?
Yeah, I think if you get that run game, keeping that defense honest, you can use play action off of it, use that intermediate area behind the linebackers that might be cheating up, and use Kincaid and Shakir there in the middle of the field. And then I think you also have to adopt a quick release pass game. They do not give you enough time to let downfield routes develop very often. So the Bills used that successfully earlier in the season against a Chiefs defense that had a pass rush that was very effective earlier in the season. I think if they pull that tactic out and use it against the Broncos, they can effectively move the ball down the field.
I mean, when you look at what Buffalo's offense was all season, it wasn't an offense that was hitting on the big plays consistently. Where they did a lot of their work when they went to the passing game was in those intermediate routes in the middle of the field. So this could be a decent matchup for Buffalo's offense, knowing that they've had to lean on the tight ends and the wide receivers and running backs to be those pass catchers.
Yeah, and those are the guys that have the shorter routes. You got to sit down in the zones, know where those are, and when they play man, you got to win.
The Broncos have won 13 out of their last 14 games, but they haven't been an explosive offense that's scoring 30 points consistently. They've struggled to stay on the field. 38% of their drives on offense end in a 3-and-out. That's 7th most in the NFL. Their final 3 games, the most points they scored was 20. So where will Buffalo's defense have some opportunities?
Yeah, I think what they have to do first is neutralize their run game, and the Broncos are not a great running team. Ever since they lost J.K. Dobbins to a season-ending injury, they've had trouble getting traction on the ground. They have small, shifty backs, so they've got to, the first guy to the ball has to get those guys on the ground. Tackling is important, obviously, but if they can make that Broncos offense one-dimensional, I think they can really cross up Bo Nix into some ill-advised decisions. He's been great in the fourth quarter this year. I think he's got 5 fourth-quarter comebacks, so when the chips are down, he's made some plays when things get chaotic. But I think this Bills defense can cross him up just like they have the other quarterbacks so far this season.
Having to tackle at the point of attack, we spoke last week about how Buffalo's defense has been successful in that 3-3-5 look. Do you see more of that in this matchup, or do you see more of them just being in that base nickel defense that they've been able to thrive on in seasons past?
I think the availability of Ed Oliver could change that slightly.
Okay.
So maybe they go back to more base nickel if they have Ed as part of their pass rush package. But I think they like what the dividends have been in that 3-3-5. So I expect them to still utilize that. To what degree, we'll have to see.
This game will feature a great coaching matchup with Bills head coach Sean McDermott and Broncos head coach Sean Payton. A defensive mind against an offensive one. Sean Payton has certainly turned things around in Denver, and Sean McDermott has won a playoff game in 6 straight seasons. It's going to be fun to watch these masterminds duel it out.
And they know each other all too well from their days together in the NFC South. And they've gone against each other either as coordinators or head coaches 15 times. Sean Payton has an 8-7 record. Wow. You know Sean McDermott's going to want to even the score on Saturday.
Oh, most definitely. With a win, the Bills will be in the AFC Championship game for the 3rd time since 2020. We want to thank you for tuning into Buffalo Bills Weekly. For Chris Brown, I'm Maddy Glab. We'll hopefully see you next week.